Athena Demos. What do you know about the Metasphere? I had the great fortune of meeting Athena at an event months ago, and she put on the Oculus unit here, and I watched people at Burning Man, and it was really, really, really cool. I had expressed concern because when I tried a couple of years ago, I tried one of the versions of the Oculus, of the Meta eyewear. I got nauseous, but she assured me that this version cured all that, which it did. But it was just a great experience. Now she's creating a platform that helps people in virtual reality, in Metaverse, create content. Do you know the difference between XR, AR, MR, extended reality, augmented reality, mixed reality? It's an incredible world. It's an incredible world of virtual reality and what's there. And how has AI played a part in it? She mentions jet fuel, but it's a great conversation with somebody really from the inside. She's created events. She's an extreme creative, very creative person. But great conversation with Athena on the Metaverse. Thanks for listening. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. Before you know it, I found myself 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. Took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People think there's some secret. Ask me, how'd you lose that weight? Like there's some secret. There is no secret. How'd I lose the weight? Just one word: discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends, colleagues convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission: how do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision: growth through learning from others. Thanks for your time today, Athena. We met months ago, and this is a long time coming, but so much to talk to you about. So let's just start today. Wall Street Journal. Meta is talking with Disney and other Hollywood studios as it prepares to launch its Apple Vision Pro rival. So they're going to Hollywood now to make this 360 content.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been saying this for a long time, that the future of content viewing is spatial. People don't want a passive viewing experience anymore. They really don't. They want to be active and engaged with the content. They want to experience it with their friends. They want it to be something that is more involved than just sitting on your couch and doing nothing. Streaming is down. The movie theater attendance is way down, and everyone's looking for ways in which to re-engage with their current audience and bring in the younger audience. Well, what is the younger audience doing? Well, for one, they're not an audience at all. An audience is a spectator. Well, they're not spectators, they're gaming. They want to achieve goals with their friends, whether it's shooting zombies or a battle royale or solving puzzles and going on adventures. This is what people want to do. If they're not going to socialize physically, like in the same physical space, then they want to socialize virtually. And that is why companies like Meta are reaching out to studios. The platform that we have created at Big Rock Creative, we are also looking at sharing it with studios so that they can create engaging content that is compelling, that appeals to those that want an active participatory experience.
In this fast-paced MSP landscape, how do you stay ahead? Introducing MSPinfluencer.com, your ultimate hub for MSP news, insights, and community connection, powered by Forza Dash. More than 75,000 MSPs subscribe to our MSP Influencer Pulse weekly newsletter, staying informed and ahead of industry trends. Tune in to emerging podcasts from Joey Pinz and leading MSP voices, offering essential tips, powerful insights, and success stories. Explore our multi-authored blogs, crafted specifically for MSP leaders, delivering fresh perspectives and actionable strategies. Celebrate excellence with the industry-leading Forza-MSP Influence Awards, recognizing innovation, leadership, and impact in the MSP community. Join thousands of MSP professionals who trust MSPinfluencer.com to grow their business and expand their networks. MSPinfluencer.com, where today's MSP leaders connect, collaborate, and conquer, all powered by the Forza platform, helping MSP vendors work effectively with MSPs and helping MSPs grow. What was your first introduction to this spatial? So when we met months ago, probably close to 4 or 5 months ago now,
I think it was February.
February, right? Yeah. I put the goggles on and I watched Burning Man, and it was like I was there. It was incredible. What was your first introduction into this world?
That was my first introduction into this world. Not what I showed you, but Burning Man. Burning Man's my first introduction into the world in general. I gotta feel like everything starts with Burning Man. Where did I put my tea? Oh, here it is. So in 2020, when the whole world was grinding to a halt and shutting down, some friends of mine and I got together and created BRCvr, which was Black Rock City Virtual Reality. And then we created a company, Big Rock Creative. So then BRCvr became Big Rock Creative Virtual Reality. And it was just a way of getting the community together at a time when the whole world was shutting down and we were feeling very isolated. And at Burning Man, we're very much a duocracy. We are because we do. We achieve being through doing. But then we were told, don't do anything, stay at home. And a lot of people learned how to bake bread. A lot of my friends learned how to bake bread during the pandemic. What I did though was I got busy on my computer, and my forte is community building. So I started reaching out to the community while two friends of mine started building a virtual space that ultimately we invited the Burning Man community and anybody that was burner curious to come and participate with for Burning Man, the event in 2020, which happens the end of August. It's on the US Labor Day weekend. And so they couldn't happen. Obviously, nothing happened in 2020. And we created this virtual experience just as a way of getting the community together. And we had about 15,000 people show up our very first year. Those 15,000 people came 90,000 times. We had 90,000 joins, but 15,000 unique. And that's a crazy ratio. And if you looked at our graph of who came and how often, we opened on Sunday, and by Wednesday it was like, whoop, huge hockey stick, which every software developer wants to see. And it just happened. And we were very excited, and we thought, okay, this is a one-off thing. And then shortly after that event, which was a huge success, we had Microsoft reach out to us and ask us to build something for them, for their engineering team. And I was thinking, wow, we're just like this little scrappy engine that could. I can't believe Microsoft is asking us. So I got into their vendor system, which was the hardest thing of this entire job with them. And we built their New York office building, which the engineering team couldn't go in because of COVID. And now they could get together in that office building that had just gotten finished, so that their engineering team could continue collaborating. And we threw a crazy party for them, and they were shooting fireworks off the roof and drinking cocktails that made them vomit gold glitter. Nice. And playing crazy games that gave them points that accomplished nothing, but they had a great time. And that led us to a huge lineup of award-winning XR content, one right after another, from huge, uh, companies like Microsoft. We work for the United Nations. We did a couple projects for T-Mobile. We did a project for Google. We even did a project for the Ubisoft VR, for an Ubisoft VR game. We did their launch party, and we became a uh, what is the word I'm looking for? An authority in producing large scale events in virtual reality. And we've been doing it ever since, and it's been 5 years now.
You mentioned it was XR content.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Okay, so XR stands for extended reality. So there's VR, AR, and MR. VR is virtual reality, AR is augmented reality, and MR is mixed reality. And those three put together is XR, which is extended reality. It's all the ways in which we extend our physical reality in and with a digital space.
Huh. And the difference between augmented reality and mixed reality?
Yeah. So augmented reality is normally done like with your phone.
Ah.
So you hold your phone up, you go to a museum and they have a QR code and you scan the QR code, just as an example. And now you have this app on your phone and you hold it up in front of a painting and all this information comes up, or a woman steps out of the painting, or a lot of the ways that AR is being used is either Pokemon Go, which is
Hmm.
AR, or things like that that add digital elements to a physical space. Museums are using AR a lot to add content to your museum experience,
Hmm.
and that's augmented reality. There's another AR called assisted reality, and that is using glasses, AR glasses, or using your phone to assist you. So maybe you need to translate something. So, like, I was just in China and I used Google Translate every moment of every
Really?
day so that I could read what was on the signs, because they're not in English and I have no possibility of understanding, at least at this moment, kanji. So I use Google Translate and I use the camera. So that's assisted.
Wow.
So translation, sometimes assisted reality is for people who have impairments, sight impairments, hearing impairments. So they use their phone to help them understand what it is that they're looking at if they're visually impaired, or what the other sounds are in the space, getting talk to text on their phone. And those are assisted reality. And then MR is when you use a VR headset like this one. This is the Quest 3 that I'm showing, and it has cameras on the front. And so when you put this on, you can see your physical space while inside the headset, you're looking at digital elements that
Hmm.
are anchored to the things in your physical space. So it
Hmm.
maps your physical space, and then maybe there's a creature coming out of the cabinet, or there's something in my space that I'm shooting at, but it won't get in the way of the table, or it won't go through the physical things in my space. So that's mixed reality. It mixes your physical space. I'll be more careful with that cord.
That sounds good. So when I saw you there in Miami, you put that device on me, and I watched it. And I did mention to you that I had tried one years ago and it made me nauseous, but you said this new updated one had improved so much, and you were right, it didn't make me nauseous at all.
So what you saw was video content. So my business partner, Doug Jacobson, and I, we both come from Hollywood. We have a Hollywood background. We have both produced different projects. I came from television and film. I also did some commercial work. Doug has done a lot of documentary film, as well as I have. And so we got involved in VR, but it lacked some storytelling elements for us. So when the world opened back up, we went to Burning Man with cameras, with VR cameras, so 180 stereoscopic and 360 cameras, and captured Burning Man. We've done this in the past with standard DSLRs, but this time we went with these other cameras and we tried to capture the story that is Burning Man. So what you saw was a 6.5 minute video called What is Burning Man that is just exactly that, describes what Burning Man is. But we have hours and hours and hours of content that are going to be in these little 6 to 8 minute mini documentaries that we call them,
Mm,
that are scattered around the digital world. It's a digital twin ish. There's no way to actually digitally twin Burning Man because it changes every year.
mm,
But the general layout of the city is always the same. So we have the layout of the city, and as you explore it, you'll see digital models of art and camps that existed at Burning Man. And next to it will be a portal, and you go inside the portal, and now you're immersed in the video content that was recorded at that art piece during one of the Burning Man events. So
hmm.
what you saw was the What is Burning Man, and then once you're inside the app, you'll be able to explore all this other content. And every year we go and film, and every year we add more content to continue telling that story. It's a form of storytelling that just hasn't existed any other way, and we had to build our own platform in order for it to even exist.
So the 360 cameras have come way down in price. I actually have one. I've recorded a lot of podcasts in it. In fact, you were part of one. You were well, I had it
Hmm.
there. And so even YouTube now will let you, you can kind of click and drag and you can look around, when something's recorded in 360. Um I don't think Spotify does, but that's really essentially what it is. Just getting a decent 360 camera and then having the right tools to watch it.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's getting a decent 360 camera, and now they're like 500, $600,
Yes.
and they're small. A
Yeah.
lot of extreme sport aficionados are using it because if you just film with your cell phone, you're only getting POV.
Mm,
But if you film with a 360 and you're, careening down a mountain on snow skis
mm.
at 60 miles an hour, or however fast you end up going, it terrifies me, then you want to pay attention to where you're going. You can't pay attention to your angle. So when you have a 360 attached somewhere on your body, you don't have to worry about anything because it's catching everything
Everything.
around you. And then you can cut it together into a normal 16 by 9 with whatever footage you have. Well, what we do is take the whole thing and put it into VR like it's your POV. You are the camera. When you're in the headset, the lenses of the camera are the eyes of the person, and that person can look around behind them and see what's going on, see the skier coming up behind them, see you narrowly miss a tree, careen off the cliff and land, and all of that. You don't have to worry about it because you're just in a VR headset sitting on your couch
Mm,
and you're not actually putting your life in danger. At Burning Man, one of my favorite things to do is to take the camera and sort of attach it behind me and ride my bike.
hmm.
And I have an e-bike, so I can be smooth about it. If I was pedaling all the time, the camera would be
Ah,
doing this.
yes.
But because I have an e-bike, I can get it going, and then I just hit the throttle and I go slow. If I go too fast, that will make you sick.
Right, right.
So moving the camera will
Mm,
make somebody sick. So we try
mm,
to almost never move the camera. But I
mm.
have this crazy idea that at some point in time, someone's going to get on a stationary bike and put on a VR headset and pretend like they're riding around Burning Man, but they're riding their exercise bike and they're getting exercise
Huh.
while their brain feels like they're
Ah,
at Burning Man. And I
mm.
think that would be a cool use case. So I've been recording footage like that. But most of the time, our cameras are on sticks and stationary, so you don't have to worry about getting sick.
So let's just use YouTube because I think the biggest repository of video. I could be mistaken. I don't know. There's millions, trillions, probably of hours of video.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I know it's crazy amount people are putting up every day. They don't get enough credit for how much video they're holding. But how much of that is 360, and how much do you think it'll eventually be?
Right now, I bet you less than 10% is 360. There is so much content, like
Yeah,
you said, there's so much video content up there. And we've had the 16 by 9 for so long
right.
that I 360 is new. It's been around for about a decade, but I think probably only in the last 5 years has it gotten popular like it has. The camera prices came way down,
That's the
and
big
that
thing.
helped a lot.
Yeah.
So, I would think less than 10% is 360 right now. I know that Apple Vision Pro, Oculus TV, YouTube, Vimeo, they're all looking for 360 content. So there's a reason why they're looking for 360 content. It's because people want it. They wouldn't be looking for content if there was no demand. So I think there's going to be a shift, in any um, uh, adoption of anything, but of technology. You have the peak and then the trough. So you have the peak that happens at the very beginning when everybody gloms on to the newest and greatest thing, and then it drops off, and everybody goes,
Mm.
"Oh, that was it. It was just a short thing." And then you have this slow ramp up to adoption, to mass adoption. And so I think during COVID, VR and 360 photography ended up getting like this crazy peak.
Mm.
And then we all were allowed to go outside again. And so it dropped off. 360 started to ramp up again, and VR is right behind it. And the people that are in VR are like, well, there's YouTube in VR. What content is there? And they start watching this stuff, and a lot of it is nature videos. A lot of it is scuba diving, which I will say is rather interesting. The sense that your body has when it feels like it's underwater,
Mm.
but you're not actually underwater. I recommend like putting on a VR headset, going to YouTube and looking at some of the underwater videos, and pay attention to what is going on with your breathing
Hmm.
and with your body's reaction as a whole, because you're not in any danger and you're breathing air, but your brain thinks you're underwater. It's fascinating. But anyway, so there's two mass adoptions that are happening at the same time. The mass adoption that's happening with the sales of 360 cameras and the sales of VR headsets are mimicking each other. Now, 360 cameras are growing faster than VR headsets, and that's because they can be used for traditional 16 by 9 filmmaking.
Right.
And so they're getting adopted faster.
Hmm.
But the VR headsets are still taking off, and Meta's doing something really smart. They're selling their headsets for less than cost.
Wow.
Yeah. So when you're buying like a Quest 3S for $299, it costs them more than that to make it.
Wow.
And when you buy the Quest 3 for, I think it's $699 or $799, I think it's $699, it costs them that or more to make it. Like they're
Wow.
taking a loss on every single headset, but it's because making money on this hardware isn't where the real money is. The real
Right.
money is in the App Store,
The subscriptions.
subscriptions, memberships, in-app purchases.
Yeah.
Third parties buying um, things, having an app on the App Store. Like we will have an app on the App Store like in 2 weeks,
Wow.
and people will be subscribing, and there will, as we continue to roll it out, there will probably be additional things added to it. Should Disney decide to use our software, which I highly recommend that they do,
Mm.
to build out IP, for immersive social VR um, cinematic experiences. Immersive social VR cinematic experiences,
Hmm.
which would be like somebody dressing their avatar to be like a character in Star Wars, and or one of the Star Wars myriad of intellectual property. So you dress up your avatar, you get to run around this environment with your friends, solving some quest.
Hmm.
And as you do, there are these portals you can go into that are video content, 360 and 180 video content that unwraps a section of the story. And that's very engaging. And you don't have to shoot anybody. It doesn't have to be a shooter game. It could be a puzzle game. It can be a quest game. It can be a sim, because really that's what all of these are. They're sims. They're
Hmm.
metaverses. And that is what our software will allow filmmakers to do, merge the digital and the physical worlds. We are true mixed reality.
Is there anything that it doesn't work well other than, moving the camera fast, but is there anything just 360 and virtual reality scenarios don't work well? Is there any scenario?
We haven't figured out the other senses. It's a
Hmm.
visual medium. It's
Right.
visual and it's auditory. And it's very visual. And we've gotten the auditory down. Like you really get the sense of spatial audio,
Hmm.
especially if you put on headphones. But smell,
Right.
smell is our
Taste.
strongest memory sensor.
Hmm.
And there are some smell little boxes that you attach to the bottom of your headset that attaches to your headset through Bluetooth. And that little box releases scents
Really?
that are like notes. They even, they call scent notes, and it mixes the same way as you would mix music. And that's how you get the different smells. And we talked to a company about capturing the smell of Burning Man, but then, like, we can do it and we're going to do it. Like, that's on our roadmap. It's
Sure.
going to happen. But you need to get those little boxes into the hands of all these people so that they can have that experience that we build into the app. So it's probably going to be location based at the beginning. You're going to go to VR arcades or to some film
Hmm.
festival and put on a VR headset, and those demo headsets are going to have it, and you're going to have that experience. It's going to be a long time before it's one integrated into the headset as commonplace, or two, an external box that you have the capacity of buying and adding to your headset as a peripheral. That's going to be a long one. Probably before that will be haptics and electric suits. There's various different vests that you can wear. There's finger sensors so that you can get the sense of touch. There's haptic gloves. There's even a glove that has these wires on the back so that when you pick something up, there is a sense of volume in your
Wow.
hands. But if
Wow.
you're picking up air, there's no sense of volume. But
Wow.
what these cords do is they pull back on your fingers.
Huh.
And by doing that, it gives you a sense of volume in your hand, like you're holding something. So when you pick up a digital asset, your brain thinks you're actually holding something. You're actually holding a gun. You're actually holding a cup. You're actually squeezing a tube of toothpaste onto a toothbrush, and you're actually brushing your teeth. So you go through these movements. There are vests that you can wear that have electrodes, and you have to wear them against your skin. And as you touch the different electrodes, as it touches your skin and you feel the air, the breeze on your skin. For us, it's the dust and the dust storm, and you feel the dust storm blowing against you, or the rays of the sun and the heat, or for a first person shooter game, what does it feel like to get shot? And I'm here to tell you with that vest, it hurts a lot.
Whoa,
And
whoa.
I'm sure it hurts a lot in the physical world too. Now, most of these things are being used for practical purposes and not for gaming. The smell is being used for PTSD desensitizing training.
Wow.
So, or therapy, I should say, not training. So you put on a headset and you're in a safe space with a therapist and they're working with you to not be so triggered in a wartime setting, and you smell the mortar going off and the whatever gunpowder or whatever those smells of war are that are so triggering, and the sights and the sounds and the haptics, and then you have a therapist there working with you, and you can always take off the headset and come back to reality, and so it's it works incredibly well.
Hmm.
It's had a profound effect on people, and there are studies that have come out of major medical institutions around pain management with VR, PTSD therapy utilizing VR, memory care and VR. And so that's how these are being used. And then the haptic vests, especially the electric vests, there's a Tesla suit that's head to toe,
Wow.
fingers and everything that covers you. Those are being used a lot for military and police training, so
Mm.
that you actually have an understanding what it means to get into these fights, to
Ooh.
get into a firefight or a physical fight with somebody, and what that feels like, so that you're more ready for it if it happens in the field. And so that's how these things are being used, but it's going to end up in the hands of just general people at home having the experience. So we want to be able to program that stuff into the app so that if you happen to have one of these things, that you will be able to use it in an entertaining way.
Hey, Joey Pinz here. Want to take your podcast experience to the next level? I'm excited to invite you to become a YouTube member. It's the absolute best way to support the channel and enhance your connection. Join our amazing community and unlock the incredible perks, custom loyalty badges, exclusive emojis, and priority comment replies. Your voice will always stand out. Be the first to watch new videos with early access, receive special membership shoutouts, and get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and updates. Dive into content available only to our members, special videos, deep dives, and insider perspectives. Engage directly with me. Suggest podcast topics you want to hear, and even get personalized video shoutouts. Hit the join button right now and become part of something special. Let's build this amazing community together. I can't wait to welcome you as a new member. Join the Joey Pinz family today. How about for podcasts? I mean, it's just two people talking. I mean, it's not a lot going on, but maybe somebody would just kind of like to feel that they're there and kind of look around a bit, because I've recorded many in 360, and I actually did reach out to Oculus, and they maybe a week after I talked to you, and they got back to me right away said they're going to look at it, but then I've contacted them, I don't know, 15, 20 more times and never heard back from them again. So I don't know if there's an appetite for that at all.
Interesting. Honestly, I'm not sure for podcasts. I feel like most people just listen to a podcast while
Hmm.
they're doing something else. Um, I know that's what I do.
Right.
If I'm listening to a podcast, I'm either going for a walk, or I'm driving my car,
Mm.
or I'm cooking and listening to a podcast in the background. So I feel like for podcasts, but there is a desire to watch a podcast. So I know for some podcasts, I have watched them. I know Lex Friedman, I tend to watch his
Me
podcast.
too. Me too.
There's something about, and they're just sitting there talking.
Yes, I watch them too. Yeah, Joe Rogan, Andrew Huberman. Yeah, there's plenty of them. Yeah, that
Yeah,
I
there's
watch.
there's podcasts that I
Not
want
I don't
to
watch them
watch.
all the time, 100%, but they're certainly on, and I glance over. I was cooking today, and Joe Rogan was on, and I would glance over every couple of minutes just to kind of see something that they're doing, but I would be listening, so it's kind of both. I
Yeah, the
wonder.
It's a little of both. I
Yeah.
think the reason why we watch podcasts is for facial expression.
Yes.
There are the one, like, I love listening to Sam Harris, and I don't think I've
Yes.
ever watched, I think I've watched one
Ah.
interview, but all the rest of them I just listen to because I love listening to Sam Harris and I love his
Mm.
voice and I love everyone he interviews. Um, but Lex Friedman, I think I pretty much always watch,
Yeah.
and it's for facial expressions.
Yeah.
Like, I want to not just hear, but see these people and what they have to say,
Mm.
because what's on their face speaks volumes on top of what the actual content is of what they're saying.
Yeah. Athena, how is AI helping or hurting this whole VR?
AI is jet fuel
Huh.
to an already burning fire.
Wow.
If you were to throw a container of diesel onto an already blazing fire, it would just ignite.
Yes.
And that is what's happening with AI. AI is allowing people who don't know how to code. They're doing what's called vibe coding, where you type in what you want and it codes it for you.
Mm.
And then you're like, well, that's not really what I wanted. I wanted it a little differently, or I wanted it a little bit more blue, or I wanted a little bit more this. You can build whole websites. You can write scripts for interactivity for VR. You can create skyboxes. You can create avatars. You can, oh my gosh, 3D models. So this has always been the hardest thing for us with BurnerSphere, is that we have all these artists that understand hammer and nails. And in 2020, we did workshops to teach people Blender so that they could get the physical art piece into a digital 3D model utilizing Blender, which is a program for building 3D objects. And then we poured it over into, and it's free. And we poured it over into Unity, which is also a free program, and then build it into a space and then upload the world onto the platform. Now you make a model, physical, and you take pictures of it and you throw it into AI, and there's lots of mesh programs out there. You don't even have to have a model. You can have a sketch on a
Wow.
napkin,
Huh.
and you put a picture, send a picture of it into the AI, and the AI will create a three-dimensional object out of it, and you can iterate on it until you get the thing that you want, and then you put it up. You don't even have to know Blender. You don't have to know Photoshop, you don't have to know Lightroom, you don't have to know any of these programs.
Amazing.
All you need to do is just let AI build it for you.
You have to
And
have the
so,
concept.
yeah, it could just be a concept. And in fact, we've noticed just within the last 2 years, if you go to the Burning Man website, burningman.org, and you look at all the art projects that are going to Playa for 2025 or 2024, as you go through, you're like, oh, they made their model with AI. Like, it's slick, it
Mm.
has sort of a look to it,
Mm.
and the way the background looks, you know they created their model or their concept art utilizing AI. Now, the downside is when we go to Burning Man, that piece won't look anything
Mm.
like what they sent in to Burning Man to say, this is our proof of concept of what we're building, right? So there is that, because then they build it physically and it doesn't, it conceptually looks the same, but physically does not. But then what we do is we take thousands of photographs using a process called photogrammetry, and we take those images and we put them into an AI that then called real capture, that then creates a 3D model out of what was actually created at Burning Man from our photographs. And now we have a 3D model of what they actually created, as
Hmm.
opposed to the AI model before the actual creation happened. So we're constantly using AI.
Jet fuel. What
Jet
is
fuel.
the yeah, what is the metaverse?
Mm. The metaverse is a space that exists both physically and digitally.
Hmm.
That is the space where our physical reality meets our digital reality. And what we've created with our platform that BurnerSphere lives on top of is the framework for metaverse to exist. But there's certain things that metaverse needs in order for it to actually be a metaverse. One, it needs to be able to be concurrent and live. So
Mm.
lots of times with games have like a pause button where you're fighting, blah, 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 and you get to the big boss and you pause because you got to go to the bathroom and you know this is going to take a while, and you come back and you start it back up exactly where it is. That's a game. That's not metaverse. It might be in VR and you might be doing it with like 5 other people, but if you can pause it, that's not metaverse.
Mm.
That's a game, and it's a virtual game. Metaverse is live. It's um, current. It happens. There's a word I'm looking for that I can't.
Dynamic.
Dynamic, yes. It's
So it's not owned by Meta. It's a small M, the metaverse.
metaverse is a small m. Yeah, it's not a proper noun. Honestly, I believe that the M in meta stands for metadata, not
Ah.
metaverse. They're not going after the metaverse. They're going after data. They've always been about data. Facebook, Instagram, all of that is all
Sure.
data. So it's all about metadata, and the value of Meta is their data, not
Mm.
the fact that they've created Horizon Worlds or the fact that they have these VR headsets. Their
Who owns the
value,
metaverse?
hmm?
Who owns the metaverse?
Nobody owns the metaverse. Nobody owns the internet.
So it's this. It's synonymous to the internet, the metaverse.
It's synonymous in its concept, but not in what it is. So I would think of the metaverse as a three-dimensional spatial internet. But it's not, like we get together in chat rooms. Well, in metaverse, we get together in rooms where we chat. But we don't call them chat rooms, we just call them rooms or worlds. But we get together as avatars and we chat with each other, and there's music playing in the background. And maybe it's a DJ, and maybe we get together and we listen to artists talk. I've gone and sat in a audience with other people listening to panelists talk about whatever the topic was at that moment, and ask questions in a Q&A while I'm sitting on my couch in my apartment wherever I happen to be in the world. I live nomadically, so I'm always somewhere different, and there are people from all over the world in this same space with me live at the same time
But where's it physically hosted?
on servers globally. And so that's another thing that the metaverse has to be. It has to be interoperable.
Mm.
In order for the metaverse to exist, all of these platforms have to be interoperable with each other.
Right.
We need to have a common language. So organizations like the Metaverse Standards Forum is actively working on coming up um, with a common coding language that allows all these platforms to be interoperable, so that I can take my avatar and have it exist across platforms. And
Mm.
I can have my assets also, like my little digital goods, exist across all platforms. I People gave NFTs a bad rap, but it wasn't the NFT programming or concept that was bad. It was how we were using it. We were attaching it to 8-bit art and selling it for,
Same thing with
half a
Bitcoin.
million dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, cryptocurrencies
Crypto.
also
Sorry.
kind
Crypto.
of got a good rap and a bad rap.
Right.
And I think investing in cryptocurrencies is actually a good thing. It gives us something other than a fiat currency attached to the volatile nature of a country.
Hmm.
Um, and yes, they're volatile, and yes, it goes up and down wildly, but it exists because we believe it does, which is true of everything. And then that gets us to, are we living in a simulation conversation, which is a whole other tangent. But let's go back to interoperability. So I should be able to go from one platform to another fairly seamlessly. And
Mm.
we do that now in app stores where, and Meta's working really hard at making this true with their app store. So your app store in the Quest headset is actually a world. It's your home world. And you go from that home world to an app and back to that home world to another app.
Hmm.
We can't cross app to app quite yet, almost. There's a few that can do it.
Hmm.
We're building our app with OpenXR standards so that as others do, you'll be able to do that. Our application is a universe of worlds. So you can jump from world to world to world within our application. And in the future, we're setting up our framework so that when we can become fully interoperable, we'll be ready for that. So the OpenXR standards are ones that are set by the Metaverse Standards Forum. These are groups of people working in the industry, coming together, having conversations, talking about what works and what doesn't work, and then creating a framework around that that other people can adopt. And lots of companies have adopted it. And the Google Android XR is an open XR standard. I believe Apple Vision Pro also is using open XR. I know Meta is. I'm on these calls. I'm on the ethics committee, and
Oh,
we're
wow.
looking at ethical practices for XR industries, enterprise, and commercial, B2B, B2C. And they're really interesting conversations. Lots about AI and the ethical uses of AI.
Of course.
Um,
So the
how
big
we embody avatars, that's also a big conversation.
mm,
Is it allowing people to escape their realities or
mm,
pretend to be something that they're not? Or is it giving them the freedom to radically express themselves as their true nature? And it's both. Uh, and I'm hoping it's more the latter than um,
of course.
the primary. Yeah.
So the big players in the metaverse, certainly the biggest I would think is Apple, and then
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is Meta, and then Apple and Google are kind of no?
Mm-mm.
Nobody else?
No, Meta is the top.
Is
They
the
were
top.
very smart in buying Oculus and then turning around and making improvements on the headset and then getting that price point. A $300 price point is really accomplishable.
Ridiculous. Yeah, because Apple's like
Ridiculous.
a couple of grand or something, isn't it? It's
No, Apple's
ridiculous.
like $5,000.
Unbelievable.
I mean, the headset itself is 3,500, but then you need to get Apple Care, and that costs more. And then there's like peripheries, and then you need the lenses because you wear glasses, or you need this thing, or you need that thing. And by the time you get done, everybody I know that bought the Apple Vision Pro spent just shy of $5,000.
And Google has one as well?
Google has one that's coming out at the end of this year.
I see.
It's Google, Samsung, and Qualcomm paired up to create a new headset.
Ah,
And I'm next week. I'm going to the Augmented World Expo, and it's going to be there, and I'm going to get to see it. I don't know that I'm going to get to demo it, but I have heard it's going to be there, and so I'm excited to see it. The pictures I've seen, it's very streamlined. It's very small. Everybody's like, oh, they're so clunky and heavy. Time.
right.
It just takes time. Everything gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So this new headset's even smaller. The Quest 1 that I had was like, remember when we had those cell phones that were like bricks that had a carrying case that you
Yeah,
had to like keep in your
sure,
car?
sure, sure.
Remember that? And now they're like these tiny little things that you lose in your pocket or your purse. You're like, where's my cell phone? Because it's so tiny. I actually bought a bigger one because I kept misplacing my other one, and I'm like, that's too small. But now the bigger one's too heavy, so I don't know.
Right,
But I
sure.
like it because I'm not losing it. So the headsets are the same way, and they're getting smaller. And so it just takes time. Unfortunately, this tariff situation is
Right.
going to cause a slowdown on innovation because it's now more expensive to do these iterations. But maybe it will cause an innovation spike
Mm,
where we're not going to do as many incremental changes. We're just going to make one really big, tiny, like make everything smaller and do it once instead of doing all these increments.
nice optimist. So I heard you say your kind of stated goal is to guide humanity in building a foundational fabric for creative collaboration in the metaverse.
Yes.
How do you make that happen?
So I've put together a methodology utilizing the principles of Burning Man, which are all things that we do, with Matthew Ball's 7 attributes of the metaverse, which are all states of being.
Hmm.
And if we take these two ways of thinking and put them together, we can achieve the metaverse that we are being promised.
Hmm.
That we take, I said we achieve being through doing. And if these are states of being, Matthew Ball's 7 attributes, and the principles of Burning Man are doing, then we can achieve the being by the doing. But I believe the principles of Burning Man are just a better way of living through life, like
Hmm.
going through your life. If you apply the principles of Burning Man, the 10 principles, to everything you do, every project you do, I apply them to my business. And there's other businesses that do as well, by the way. I'm not new in this. And I will say that the principles weren't prescripted to us. They
Hmm.
aren't like you should do this and therefore you are a burner. It's not like that.
I see.
Burning Man started in 1986. We didn't get these principles until 2004.
Huh.
What happened, and the reason why they came about, is that there were several people, myself included, that were organizing events in the early 2000, 2002, in their local cities that were Burning Man events. Um, but just that the Burning Man community was getting together. And you fill out city permit paperwork, and they say, "Who are you? Name of your organization and description." And I didn't know what to write. We're burners. And we go to Burning Man. And that's not enough for definitely the city of LA, the city of New York, the city of Austin, the city of Chicago. And that's where all these events were coming up, all over the world too. But
Hmm.
those are the ones that I knew were going on 2002, 2003. So we contact the Burning Man office. We're like, "Hey, what do I put on this form?" And so the one of the founders of Burning Man, one of the main founders of Burning Man, Larry Harvey, they got this question and he went and he started thinking about it. And Larry Harvey was really a philosopher. He was an amazing person, human being, and really, he was well read. He loved reading books. He had an immense library. And so he went off and came back with 9 principles as a description of who are we? And the board looked at it and they were like, "Wow, these are really amazing and great. Yes. And can you come up with one more so we can have an even 10?" And so he went back and he came back with one more, which was immediacy, our 10th principle. And
Hmm.
that really became the cornerstone, that like important touchstone that holds them all together. Immediacy, it's our be here now, be in this immediate moment.
Hmm.
And all 10 have to exist in concert with each other in order for us to have that sense that we are burning. That's what it means to burn, to
Hmm.
be a burner, to exist in that space of pure flow. If I'm working on a project, anything, it could be a documentary film, a TV commercial, a large scale event, putting together a friend's surprise birthday party. If we put these things together, then if something's not working and there's just something in the gears and things aren't really going well and you can't figure out why, I sit down and I look at the 10 principles and I say, which one of these is missing? And I go,
Hmm.
I got that. I got, people are radically expressing themselves. We're a communal effort. We're being radically inclusive. People are participating. We're leaving no trace. It's a gift. But we've accepted sponsorship, and the sponsor is asking for things that aren't in alignment with the project, and that's causing tension, and things aren't working. Okay, so I need to go back to the sponsor and talk to them about these principles to see if we can turn that sponsorship into a gift. Because right now our project is not decommodified. And that's one of the principles. So I go through and okay, we get that figured out. We're back going, and now something else isn't working, and it turns out that things aren't working with the city. And so that's a violation of civic responsibility. So I'm like, okay, so how can I turn this around so that we're back in alignment with civic responsibility? Okay, now here we go. Now everything's working again. And then that's what I do with everything. I really use the principles to help me get the projects going again.
It's exciting. It's exciting times for you, Athena. It's very cool. Has there been anything in the last month or so that you changed your mind on?
Has there been anything in the last month or so that I have changed my mind on?
Small, large?
Well, we've been changing our launch date.
Ah,
Like I really thought that we were going to launch in February, and then now we haven't even launched yet. And we were supposed to launch on June 1st, and now we're not launching until June 13th. And I wanted to launch with our UI completely in, but so everything's like taking longer. So I've had to constantly change my expectation of when we're going to gift this app to the public, when we're going to gift this story to the world. And it's been very difficult because like, no, I want to do it now. I want a community build, and I can't do anything until we. And so it's just been like this. No, I want to do it now. I want to do it now. I want to do it now. And I've had to let that go. So that's been a really big one for me because it's only going to get built as fast as it can get built. Right. It's getting built faster because we're using more and more and more AI, but AI is not everything. It can't just like poof, make us our metaverse. We still got to get things to work together. So it's not everything. We still need developers. They still have a job. And I think they will always have a job because as much as I can get AI to build something for me, it's still not human. And if you want to build something that has a humane feel to it, that is inviting to humanity, that allows humanity to thrive in a creative space, it needs to have a human touch. So I don't think we are going to lose that human touch completely with AI. And in fact, AI is going to make the human touch more valuable. And I use this example when I talk about AI, that if you have a coffee mug, normal coffee mug, and you bought it at, I don't know, some big brand store, and you probably paid $6 for it. So it's worth $6 to you. But then you went to this craft fair, and there was this pottery person, and they made this mug, and it does the same thing that your $6 other mug does. It holds your coffee, but this one cost you $50. And somebody took their hands and they molded the clay and they came up with a design on the outside. They spun it on the wheel and they patinaed it and they glazed it and they stuck it in a kiln and they fired it and they did the raku and it came out really cool and there's not another one like it, and you buy it and you pay that person $50 or $100 and you take it home. Now you're going to be careful with that thing.
Right. Yeah.
It does the same job, but it had a human touch to it.
Mm.
And that is true with everything.
Hmm.
That is true with a logo that was created. You can tell when AI makes a logo or
Mm.
when some graphic designer spent hours talking to you about why your company does what it does and then comes up with the essence of it and creates a logo, and that's logo design. Sure, the AI can do it in less than 30 seconds and make 50 of them, and then you pick the one you want. That doesn't have a human touch. And you can tell when a human touched it and when it didn't.
Mm. I hope we never lose that, understanding that. If sometimes I get concerned about that, but it's a very important point you bring up, Athena. So I started my business in the 90s and I was working way too hard. I'm not sure if I shared this with you or not, but 14, 16-hour days, you're no stranger to this. And putting my health in the back seat. Next thing I know, I'm in front of the doctor and she tells me I'm at 340 pounds. And she says, if you don't lose this weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate. My daughter was just born, scared the, living hell out of me. I'm driving home, punching the steering wheel. What have I done to myself? It's not just me anymore, Athena. It's this family I have now. I have to stick around for them. So I spent the next 6, 7 months, lost about 120 pounds and kept it off. You can't look at it as a finishing line. It's lifelong changes. And when I tell this story, I always get, what's your secret, what you do. And there's no secret. Discipline. That's how I do it. That's how I do it now. Routine, willpower, focus. How does discipline play a role in your life, Athena Demos?
It is really discipline for everything. Like I was just talking to a friend of mine about this, and he's in a place in his life where he doesn't want to work for a corporate entity,
Mm,
but he doesn't want to be his own business owner.
mm.
And so it's like, well,
Whoa.
you got to choose one. But being your own business owner, you you have to be very disciplined to make sure that you get everything done to advance your business towards success. But you also need to find balance in your personal life so that you're not ignoring your family, you're not ignoring yourself and your personal health, and you are able to have fun, adventure, personal time, as well as get the things done to advance your company towards success. And having an image, a picture of what that success looks like in general.
Mm.
I don't believe in holding expectations. Expectations are just the root of all disappointment. Hold on. Sorry about that.
Expectations.
Expectations are the root of all disappointment in life. If
Mm.
you're holding on to an expectation, you're like you really expect to come home from work and there's going to be food on the table ready for you, and you come home and there's not, you're disappointed. So if you hang on to those expectations, you're going to be disappointed. But if you hang on to a general view that's open for opportunity and possibilities, then you have room to steer your ship towards them. And so instead of success being it's this little expectation of it has to be this, it becomes this big possibility
Hmm.
of what it could be. And that's open to a lot more opportunities. So that's what I say when I say moving towards the success of my company. It could look like a lot of things. Investors, by the way, don't like that. They want you to tell them what this tiny little pin drop of success is to you. And you're like, no, success is like this whole range of possibilities. And they don't like that, which
No.
is why we don't have an investor yet. I'm sure we're going to get one. So discipline is both discipline in my work life and discipline in my personal life.
Mm.
And discipline in my personal life has been lacking. And I really need to pick that back up. So I'm glad you approached this subject. And I'm not afraid to tell those that are listening it's easy to stop your daily practices. And I live nomadically, so I'm always traveling. So
Right.
it's hard for me to get back into the cycle of meditation, doing my yoga stretches every day, doing my meditation every day, working out in some way every day, or at least 3 times a week. I'm really good at taking care of the food that I eat. I make sure that I eat really well, that I don't take in too many calories. I don't eat sugary foods. Um, or if I do, it's like a square of chocolate. Like nobody understands how I can do that. I buy a chocolate bar and it lasts me 3 weeks.
Huh.
People are like, how does a chocolate bar last you three
Ah,
weeks? Well, I eat a square.
there's some discipline.
I don't eat the whole bar. I eat a square. I break off a square. I put the whole thing away and I sit there and I
Hmm.
nibble around and I let it melt in my mouth and I really enjoy it. And that one square of chocolate will take me like 15 minutes to eat.
Nice.
Take a bite, put it down, pick it up, eat more, put it down. That whole bar would have taken me 15 minutes. I know people that can eat a whole bar of chocolate in less than 60 seconds,
I probably could.
but I don't. I take a
No,
square and
not
I
good.
have it take me a lot of time. And my brain and my body gets the sensation that I ate an entire bar of chocolate, but I
Hmm.
only ate one square. It takes me 3 weeks, 2 weeks to go through a bar of chocolate. That's discipline.
It's
It's
also
also
an
a habit.
habit as well and restraint. But it's interesting how you kind of worded that because it's almost virtual reality too, where you your eyes think you're somewhere, but your body thinks you're somewhere, but your eyes don't. So you use that kind of same methodology to kind of trick yourself into eating smaller portions.
Yes.
There's a
Yeah.
parallel there that I just kind of put
Yeah. I
together.
never
It's very
thought of
interesting.
that before, but you're right. I'm adjusting the reality
Yes.
of what my brain perceives. And my brain
Unintentionally.
perceived that I took a lot of time eating
Right.
chocolate, therefore I got a lot of chocolate,
Right.
when in actuality, I didn't. I do that with food in general as well, where I don't actually consume a lot of food, but my brain thinks that I do because I take my time doing it.
Hmm. Yeah, much healthier that way. What motivates you, Athena?
Um, what motivates me? At my core, I am a muse.
Hmm.
I've known that I've been a muse since I was about 9 years old, and I learned that the muses even existed.
Hmm.
I identified with them. I was like, oh, that's me. I love inspiring people. I love inspiring creativity. And I was a little kid. And I just knew it was me. And as I grew older, and I would dabble in the arts, and I was in the choir, and I was in band, and I loved painting and drawing, like, most little kids, and sewing. I really loved sewing and crazy makeup, and but I found that all of it had the the fuel behind it, that I was doing this to inspire somebody else.
Hmm.
I wasn't ever just doing it for my own creative outlet.
Hmm.
Everything that I took on that was creative, I always thought like, oh, someone's going to see this and it's going to make them be more creative. So
Hmm.
it fed that muse, and my getting involved with the Burning Man community, like when I went in 1999 and I first got to Burning Man and my feet landed on the playa and I looked around, I was like, oh, I'm home.
Hmm.
And I started to meet the people that were there, and all I wanted to do was help. How can I help you build your art? How can I help be in service of your project? How can I help this theme camp deliver their gift to the community? And as I got more involved in 2002, I started organizing an event in downtown LA called the LA Burning Man Arts and Music Celebration, which was a time after the burn in October, burn in August. But in October, we would do this event where people in LA that had art and theme camps and art cars and performances and that were burners could come together in the streets of downtown LA and showcase what it is that they do to the rest of LA.
Hmm.
And it was this event that started with 800 people and was one city block, grew to 8,000 people in a big state park in the middle of downtown LA. And it was me, spending so much time at the city of LA filing like
Huh.
7, 9, I don't know, different permits in order to get this event to happen, and hiring security and running volunteers. And at one point in time we had 1,500 volunteers, we had 13
Wow.
stages of music, we had over 100 installations, art cars, theme camps, art installations, just filling this park. And putting all those pieces of that together was only for one reason, because as a muse, I was giving artists an opportunity to showcase what they do so that maybe they would inspire others to
Hmm.
be their best creative selves. Because in creativity, when we are creative, when we are communally creative, communal effort is one of our principles, and that is my favorite principle. When we practice communal effort, we are all working together to make the project happen, and therefore we are all thriving together. And that to me is the greatest life work that I could do. And I have seen amazing projects be created. I've also seen people create children because they met because of me. There's
Hmm.
lots of children on this planet because, oh, I met during DCOM and now I have this whole family, or you introduced me to this person, or I came to your house for a party. I once hosted the 7 weeks of the Artist Way at my house, and I know 3 children that came out of that.
Whoa.
So it's it's like I just love being in service of creativity and creatives and people making artistic choices. uh, that fuels my soul. That motivates me.
Want to show your love for discipline, inspiration, and the Joey Pinz podcast? Now's your chance. Introducing the brand new Joey Pinz merch store, where style meets discipline. Choose from premium apparel, cozy hoodies, stylish hats, durable bags, and your new favorite coffee mug, all featuring the iconic Joey Pinz logo. Perfect for podcast fans, discipline enthusiasts, or as unique gifts for friends and family. Every purchase supports the Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations podcast, helping us continue to inspire greatness and promote positive change. Visit joeypins.com/store today and wear your discipline proudly. Joey Pinz merch. Wear it, share it, and live it. So, given that motivation, Athena, of being one who inspires, of being the muse, how do you measure success?
As a muse, I measure success when I see projects working, happening,
Mm.
coming to fruition from ideation to final project. And sometimes they burn, and sometimes they go on tour around the world. Sometimes people create babies, whether it's a piece of art that's their baby or a business or a project. I have friends of mine that have created whole successful businesses around little projects that they started as a gift to the community, whether at Burning Man or at DCOM. And that I find very successful. Like
Mm.
in my life, I've been very, very successful. And this platform, a BurnerSphere, is an extension of that success. There are so many artists that are going to get to showcase their art to a greater global community. What I did was just in LA with LADCOM. Now, this platform, BurnerSphere, is going to go out to the entire world, and all these artists are going to be able to showcase what it is they do and be able to elicit help from
Mm.
others.
Mm.
So they're going to be able to have their email if they want to be contacted, or a URL if we want people to learn more, and people can reach out to them, and they can have on there, I'm looking for an electrician or a welder or a carpenter, or I'm putting this together and I really need a graphic designer or a web design, whatever. And somebody will see that, or oh, that piece is amazing. Oh, in order for it to come to fruition, they need 10 welders. I'm a welder. I can donate some of my time and
Mm.
get involved in the project. And so I want to make those connections like I did in 2020 and 2021. Bring the community together, give them the tools they need to be radically self-reliant, how so that they can radically express themselves, so they can participate in a radically inclusive communal effort that is a gift of themselves to the world that has been decommodified. So it's free from those binds within the confines of civic responsibility while leaving no trace,
Mm.
all in that immediate moment.
Mm.
And that makes me so happy. And I love that Larry put it into words because it was something that I knew always existed.
Mm.
Like when you read them, when you go to the Burning Man website and you read the principles, you're like, oh, yeah, that exists. You just put it into words. But it gives us a framework to find what's not there. When it's all there, everything just works.
Mm.
When something's not there, when you're trying to do something all by yourself, when you try to do any project 100% yourself, it's super difficult.
Mm.
And when you start bringing people onto the project, it becomes a whole lot easier. Communal
Athena,
effort.
you're a true artist, Athena. I absolutely love it. I thank you so much for your time today. I'm so glad we met. Anybody listening and watching wants to get in touch with you. How can they do so?
Uh, First thing first, go to BurnerSphere.com. That's how you'll find about the app that's launching in just a couple weeks. So by the time you listen to this, it'll probably be public. It's available on the Quest Store and the Steam Store, and is available not just in a VR headset, but will also be available on a PC or a Mac computer through the Steam Store. I believe in meeting people at the technology they currently have. Pretty much everyone has a computer. We will get it working on the cell phone soon on our roadmap. So you'll be able to do that as well. VR isn't great, by the way, on a cell phone, but
Mm.
again, we want to meet people with the technology that they have. You could also go to bigrockxr.com. That is our main website. You can reach me there. The contact form goes directly to me. And I'd love to learn about the project that you want to bring into the digital space.
Mm.
Maybe for your company, your club, and organization. Maybe it's a way of bringing people together. Maybe you just want to create something super creative. Big Rock Creative makes beautiful immersive storytelling. So, what story do you want to tell? go to bigrockxr.com, send me a message, and we'll schedule a call.
Thank you so much, Athena. I look forward to seeing you again face to face, maybe even in the metaverse, but face to face, we'll have a cup of tea.
I would love that, Joey.
Thank you so much, Athena. Be well.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypinz.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.